This is when it all gets good. This is when we take our C chords and we add melody notes on top. So all this will be C chords, not open chords. We're going to use closed chords. And we'll move up and down the fingerboard on all 4 strings. Of course, we're going to start in open position though. So we have our C6, you already know that. We have our C major 7. We have this root position for a C. Now these patterns are going to repeat all over the fingerboard. Well, how can they do that? They can only do that in other keys if we use a bar for those positions. So when we play C6, we're going to imagine that we're actually barring across all 4 strings. Okay? Now that's the easiest bar chord you'll ever play. Now to add the major 7, it's going to look like this, with a bar, a space in between, and any finger that's comfortable, ring finger, pinky. And with this position for a root, we're going to pretend like we have a bar here. And that makes all 3 of those positions movable positions. Now we have another root position right here with our first finger at the 3rd fret. We're going to bar these 2 strings and play this closed position C chord. So we have 2 root positions. We have this root position and we have this root position. And the frets are 5, 4, 3, 3. All right. Now, before we go too far, let's try playing all those positions. First, C6. Pretend like you've got a bar there and play C6. Now play C major 7. And from 6 to major 7, you know, that's a whole step. From 7 to 8, from the major 7 to the root is a half step. Now let's try our closed C position. Okay, let's do that one more time. Here we go, C6, C major 7, root position, our closed root position with our first finger on the root. Now we'll add a chord to that. We're going to add the C add 9. So it's the 2nd note of the scale. Take your pinky and put it down on the 5th fret, 1st string. So that gives us this C with the root to the C add 9. Try that a couple times. Some people's pinkies pretend like they don't fit the rest of their hand, and they won't do what they're told, but this one will. So let's try that again from the C6. Now you don't have to pretend like you have a root here if you don't want to. C6, C major 7, C with a root on top, another C, closed C, C add 9, C with the 3rd on top. Now that's a C chord. I often refer to these chord inversions as BLT sandwiches. It's like if you have the tomato on top and then the lettuce and the bacon, you don't call it a TLB, you call it a BLT. Well, these are the same notes in your C chord, but the 3rd is on top. Now it's very important to realize that on the 2nd string is your C note, your root. So anywhere we move this position chord, your root's on the 2nd string and your 3rd is on the 1st string. So play that. You can strum all the strings because the open G note is in the C chord. Okay, so now let's start over on the C6, C major 7, C with the root on top. Our other position, our alternate position for the C with the root on top, C add 9, C with a 3rd on top. Now from 3 to 4, we know that's only a half step away. So put your pinky down in the very next fret, it'll be the 8th fret of the 1st string. And you add the 4th note to the scale. Okay, so now let's, from the fourth to the third actually, it's a very easy switch. In folk music we call that the amen chord. Amen. Everybody knows that sound. So start with the 6, the major 7, the root, the alternate root on top, the add 9, C with the 3rd on top, C with the 4th on top. Now we're going to add the 5th on top, stretch up 2 frets. Now we also just call that a plain old C chord. Play the 5th, move your pinky back to the 4th, and lift it up for the 3rd. Let's try that a couple times. All right. Start at the 6th. We're going to start at the top. 6th chord. Major 7. Root. Alternate root. Add 9. 3rd on top. 4th on top. 5th on top. Now, see where your pinky is. That gives us our alternate 5th position, which is useful when we're going to continue up the scale because it's very close to the 6th position. So what we're going to do is put our finger there. See, now we had our little C chord, little, very important C chord, 4, 5. So now our pinky's at the 10th fret. Now put your first finger where your pinky was. Your first finger is going to be at the 10th fret. Now your second finger and ring finger will be at the 12th fret, and again you can strum all the strings. That gives us another position for the 5th on top. Of course you can play all 3 strings here if you like. In some keys we'll have to play all 4 strings because the G note won't be in the chord. Now we have our 6th chord. Okay. Barring where those 12 were. So now we're going to work all the way up from this 6, an octave up. So we have our 6, major 7, root, alternate root, add 9, 3rd on top, suspended 4th, 5th, our alternate 5th position, a bar at the 12th fret, if you can, and it gives us another major 7 and a root if you have more frets. Play these positions up and down the fingerboard until you get very comfortable with them, and then join me in the next lesson for our play along.